What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Believe in Miami Heat Podcast Network. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo, coming to you again with another episode of my long-form podcast. Maybe not so long today because there's not a ton of Heat stuff going on that I didn't already cover in my previous videos this week. But of course, I will have timestamps down below as I can feel myself start to yap. So if you want to skip ahead, check out the description. If you're on the podcast side, that's Apple Pod, Spotify, etc. And I'm also on the YouTube side. If you want to see the video, I will have timestamps for everyone. Now, if you are on the audio side, come over to the YouTube. I have been talking about kind of everything we've seen over the last week, whether it was Kashad Johnson. I just posted an excellent breakdown about him yesterday, kind of going through his highlights and showing what really makes him so special is he has that athleticism, but it's paired with a great offensive and defensive IQ. And that's something that has me really excited. I'm not going to lie to y'all. For the remaining few games of Summer League, however many there is left, the next game will be tonight versus the Boston Celtics, actually. So I do plan on having a post-game reaction for that. But they got 4 games of Vegas Summer League, and then you got the preseason on October 10th. So stuff is coming up quick here as the offseason seems to be blazing past. You know, last offseason we had the Damian Lillard news. Seemed like it dragged on forever. And this time, we don't have to worry about that. We got all kinds of actual exciting stuff with people that are actually on our team to get excited about, like Kashad Johnson. And that is the guy that I am very hyped for going forward. And I do want to say that I really like Summer League in general. A lot of Heat fans might not even tune into it, or maybe you don't tune into Summer League at all, you know, for any team. And I want to say that a lot of times you get some great moments. You really do, because what you get with the Summer League is you get guys that are truly playing their heart out, like their lives are on the line. Because for a lot of these guys, it is. You know, these are life-changing games for these players, whether they get on an NBA team, whether they sign a contract that could set themselves up for life, or get life-changing money. And this is where you see guys really get an opportunity to do that. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm sure it's a scary thing if you're one of the players, but that's when you see what guys are made of, right? And every few years, you get some memorable moments in Summer League that you'll never forget. The first one that comes to mind for me is Tyler Johnson. I remember in the Orlando Summer League, which doesn't even exist anymore, he hit a game-winning buzzer beater. And it was off an alley-oops, inbounds play. He caught it right at the rim, laid it in, because we know how athletic Tyler Johnson was. And that's just something I'll never forget. And then you compare that, it was the same play that the Heat ran for Jimmy Butler in Game 5 versus the Bucks this past season, where Gabe Vincent threw the two-hand overhead pass to Jimmy, who kind of pushed off, but he laid it in at the buzzer to send the game to overtime. So you get to see the Heat even work on plays that they might use later on down the line, years later, with completely different rosters. So it's a lot of beautiful stuff like that as well. And obviously, you could tell Tyler Johnson was a player in that Orlando Summer League and worked himself all the way to a $50 million contract, one that I wish we never gave him. But still, the kid basically went from an undrafted nobody to a guy who was able to set him and his family up for life. And I can't hate on that. Other moments that come to mind, you got a few years ago, Kendrick Nunn. That was the Tyler Hero Summer League. I think Duncan Robinson might have been on that team. So as Heat fans were like, oh, let's check out the first-round pick Hero. We got Duncan Robinson, this supposed sharpshooter coming back. Let's see what those guys look like. But it was Kendrick Nunn who stole the show. And as Heat fans were like, wow, this guy looks good. Maybe he can be a rotation player one day. Fast forward to the preseason, dropped 40 points versus the Rockets. He was starting immediately and finished second in Rookie of the Year as an undrafted player. He finished behind John Morant. And it's kind of weird how quickly he's fallen off since he left the Heat and went to the Lakers. He's got hurt a lot, so maybe it's the injuries, but still, it was cool to see that development of Kendrick Nunn. And as Heat fans watching the Summer League, we were the first people to know what he could become, know that he was a really great player. And then the most recent example I can remember was Max Strus. This was his second Summer League, so he was one of the guys that you really wanted to see him set himself apart from the rest. It was him and Omer Yurtseven, who had great Summer Leagues, but Max Strus was truly a cut above everyone else, and there was that one game which went to overtime, which is sudden death in Vegas, and he hit just a pull-up three in transition, deep one, nothing but net, and you could tell that he was a big-time player. He had the cojones, and obviously he had some monster playoff games for the Miami Heat in multiple postseasons after that. So it's just nice seeing these guys grow up and really become who they are. So I do like Summer League. Outside of Kashad Johnson, this is one of the deeper Summer League teams as far as excitement. You got the first round pick Khalil Ware. Played the first 2 games in California, missed the last one just to rest, give the other guy some play, and he was awesome. More so in that second game than the first, but y'all know what he did. Y'all seen the highlights if you didn't see the game. He was all over the place, blocking shots, rotating on defense, hitting a couple mid-range jump shots, dunking inside. He's obviously a very exciting player. Pallel Larson hasn't had the best start to the Summer League, but same with him. He's only played 2 games, but you've seen a lot of versatility from him. He's made a lot of nice reads on defense, getting steals. He's made a lot of great plays on offense from the 3-point line, mid-range, inside, all 3 levels. Has some great passes. So he seems like a guy that is very versatile and can play right now too. Of course, we still got Alondes Williams. When he finally got a chance to showcase himself as the guy in that final game in California, dropped 21 points. Several highlight factory plays himself. His handle, his shiftiness is incredible. Zion Poulin, the other two-way guy you got there, made some really nice reads, but he's not sort of the flashy type. But I like paying a closer attention to him to kind of see, if he could play right now. Because, he is an older prospect, and I think he's a guy that could play now. He was a low mistake, low turnover guy in college, and I really like what I've seen so far in Summer League. And you even got a guy like Caleb Daniels. Really showed out in this last game when he got some more opportunity, drawing charges, blocking shots, intercepting passing lanes. The guy is not that tall. He might be like 6 foot, 6'1", but he was up there almost getting 2-hand jams to land. He missed that one, but he still got up high enough. So it was just exciting seeing that athleticism as well. And he was huge in that comeback versus the Lakers. So maybe he turns into a player, and we kind of get to see him, grow from the ground up. So there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in Summer League. So if you didn't plan on watching or haven't watched, I do recommend you start. I do, especially since it looks like in the next game, surprisingly, James Jaquez Jr. is supposed to play at least the 2 first games, which is crazy. Now, I know he's a sophomore, and a lot of times sophomores play, but James Jaquez was just starting playoff games in Boston, playing well. James Jaquez was just practicing with the USA Select team versus the real USA team. So he went from playing against LeBron James and Steph Curry to playing against who? Who's on the Boston Celtics Summer League? Baylor Shireman? I like Baylor a lot. That's the guy I wanted the Heat to get in the second round, but the Celtics snagged him at 30. Watch out for Baylor Shireman. If he goes off, don't forget I said this. But obviously, James Jaquez should be able to set himself apart. You'd like to see him go in there and maybe play 20 minutes and get you a quick 25 piece and just really dominate. Show the footwork. Y'all know I got a foot fetish for the footwork of James Jaquez Jr. And I'm really hoping that he can display that and just make those young kids look like dummies. Make them look goofy with the footwork and the up and unders and the spins. So it will be cool to see James get some run because even in the last playoffs, he was obviously hurt, a little bit in the last few games there. So it'll be great to see James get back. He's been working. I've loved seeing the Team USA videos, and he looks like he's holding his own. So obviously, it looks like the Heat are going to run it back. He's one of the guys to be excited about watching. Another guy that you can be excited about watching would be Nikola Jovic. The one disappointing thing is, though, it was announced today, he will be missing his games with Serbia in the Olympics, which is unfortunate for multiple reasons. One, because you don't like to see guys get hurt, especially given the circumstances the Heat just played in last offseason when they had the most games missed due to injury. So I saw some people freaking out when they said Jovic was already hurt, but truthfully, I think it's more of a precautionary thing. I don't know if it's him holding himself out or Serbia or the Heat, because I'm sure Jovic wants to play. So I'd like to believe it's not him that's, sitting himself out. But I do think it's precautionary. And usually with the really bad ankles, at the worst, they take 2 to 3 months. And I don't know when he got it hurt, but we're in July. So July, August, September. You still got 3 months, a full 3 months before the season would even start. So I think he'll be okay before training camp. I am a doctor, I guess I should say. I went to 12 years of law school, so I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to injuries. But I think he'll be okay. It sucks he won't play because, one, for him personally, I'm sure he wanted to represent his country. 2, it would have been great experience just playing on the professional stage again, playing against all of these other professionals, the best players in the world. He would have got to play with Nikola Jokic, who is playing. I think that would have been kind of fun to see, and he would have learned a lot, traveling with the team, maybe picking some stuff off of Jokic. Hopefully not. He doesn't learn how to blindside, hit someone in the back like Markieff Morris and make them almost go paralyzed. The sloppy fat boy that Nikola Jokic is. But it sucks from Jovic in that regard, too. He'll miss that experience. And just as a fan perspective, the first game for Serbia is versus USA. How cool would it have been to see Bam and Jovic just kind of go back and forth at each other? That would have been so fun. So as Heat fans, we kind of are missing out on that as well. But the main thing you hope for is that Jovic could just be healthy. We still will get to watch one of our guys, though. We just said Bam Adebayo will be playing for Team USA in the Olympics. They had one scrimmage game already versus Canada. They really pulled away in that fourth quarter, ended up being a blowout. Bam finished with like 6 points. Joel Embiid was terrible, which is the guy playing ahead of him. And Embiid fouled out in like 12 minutes, I think it was, which is crazy. I only saw bits and pieces of the game. I was a little busy while it was on, so I had it on my phone, but I was doing laundry, and then I was folding laundry, so I didn't exactly pay attention to the full game. I'll try to watch the games going forward. I don't know what time most of them are going to be at or when the first game even starts, but I would like to watch for Bam Adebayo. And I guess also the other guys on there. It's LeBron's last Olympics. It's LeBron and Curry playing together finally on the big stage, on a real competitive stage for the first time. And just as a fan of basketball, that stuff's obviously cool to see as well. I'd be lying to you because I did see that Bron or the Curry to lob to Bron. I did see that part live. And I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't smile a little bit because those boys were out there enjoying it. And it was really cool to see. And it seems like all the players love Bam. I see all these little TikToks they do with the guys. Oh, who's the most likely to do this? Who do you want to play with? They even ask Carmelo Anthony, who would you start? And consistently, the name you hear time and time again is Bam Adebayo. This is not news. We know guys around the league love Bam Adebayo. He's great friends with Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum. Need I go on? And who knows how much more friends he's going to make during this USA run. Maybe Anthony Edwards. We know Coach Spo and Ann already are like this. Those guys are already boys. So maybe Spo and Bam could go get some dinner sometime. Some non-tampering lunch. A nice non-tampering meal. Wink, wink. That'd be pretty cool to see. But shout out to Bam Adebayo. He obviously played awesome defensively. I hear all this talk about how him and AD were just a terror for guys out there. And that brings up the question of Bam Adebayo playing the 4. Is that something we're going to see this year? If we do, it'll obviously be because Khalil Ware is out there. Now, I would love to see a lineup with Jovic, Ware, and Bam. Put Jovic at the point guard. We know he can play point. He has an excellent handle, excellent speed, and pace for the game. And he has great vision. Why not put Jovic at the point guard? Just for some funsies, man. I'm not saying you got to start that way, but you went all these years with no size. So lean into the size, maybe a little bit excessive. Why not, right? Let's have some fun. But if we don't see Jovic out there, I think we might see certain spurts with Ware and Bam. I don't think we'll see too much of it. I don't think we'll ever see that as a starting lineup, at least not for the first few months of the season. Maybe later on if some guys are banged up and such. But we know Bam would want to play the 4. That's something we know. Because, one, we see how much fun he's having out there playing the 4 next to AD. We hear how much, we see how effective he is at the 4. And he has said that he wants to play alongside a 7-footer. When Khalil Ware was drafted, he says it'll be nice to play against someone or play with someone that's bigger than me. When they asked Bam in the Olympics who is his teammates he's most looking forward to playing with, he said AD and Joel Embiid because he wants to play the 4. He specifically said that himself. So we're not speculating here. So if he gets in Spoelstra's ear a little bit, well, hey, maybe we do see Khalil Ware get into that starting lineup a little bit earlier than we expected. But in my opinion, I want to see Bam the 4. I've been saying that ever since 2020. Last time he played the 4, it was when Myers Leonard was here. But I want to see Bam play the 4 next to an athletic center, a switchable center on defense. Because although Myers Leonard was bigger, true 7-footer, he was soft. He didn't play big. He didn't rebound, and he stayed on the perimeter most of the time. He had some emphatic dunks, yeah, but his game was standing in the 3-point line, catching and shooting. At the time, you needed that because Bam wasn't much of a shooter, but now you don't need that as much because Bam has shown an ability to stretch the floor, and to end last season, he was a sniper from 3-point range too. The percentages were great. You can look him up. So if he takes another jump in that area, maybe next year is the year that he really shoots 2 to 3 threes a game. Maybe it is. If not, you got Khalil Ware, who has shown in college he has the ability to stretch the floor. I think that's a bit overstated because he only took 1 a game. People are acting like he's a stretch 5. He's not. but he's at least capable. And if he does shoot one a game in the NBA and Bam shoots one a game, I think those two guys, as your starting front court there, are more than capable of running that unit without looking too clunky. So the reason I want to see Bam at the 4, though, is because of the defense. Bam Adebayo is elite at guarding perimeter players, but how many times have we seen him clamp up someone like Kyrie or Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard just for the opposing team to get an offensive rebound because the Heat can't rebound because Bam was the only big out there? Now, if you got Bam at the perimeter and he gets a stop like he always does because he's the best defender in the league, they just asked him about that. He's annoyed. He hasn't got any DPOYs, which I get because he should have, right? Quick tangent. Should have gotten over Marcus Smart. That's a fraud. DPOY. Should have gotten over Jaren Jackson Jr. Bam takes his lunch money every time they play. Y'all don't need to know how much I hate Rudy Gobert. That guy is worthless 3 feet outside the paint. So, of course, Bam should have got some DPOYs and should going forward. Now, if Wembanyama takes another progression, that might be kind of hard. But Bam obviously deserves some. He deserves some more. Do I love to hear him publicly saying that it bothers him? Not necessarily, because as a Heat fan, I've always loved how Jimmy Butler, with regards to individual accomplishments, says, I don't care. I want to win a championship. Oh, Jimmy, are you mad you didn't make the All-Star team? I don't care. I want to win a championship. That's all he's ever said. But Bam is a young guy, and he does deserve his awards. And obviously, if he gets those awards, he's eligible for the Supermax. Now, not right now, because he already signed a 3-year extension, but for the next one in 3 years, he would be eligible for a Supermax. So financially, it makes sense why Bam would want that DPOY anyways. But that's why I want him at the 4, so he can play his perimeter defense, and you'd have a guy like Khalil Ware now to sort of clean up a lot of those rebounds and get stops, for the other team's opposing bigs. So, because there's other teams doing 2 bigs now. Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic. Y'all remember how much Aaron Gordon dogged Caleb Martin in the finals? You got Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford. Kristaps was shooting right over whoever was our starting 4 at that point last year. I guess Jovic was out there too, but still Kristaps was bodying everyone. So it'll be nice to get Bam out there because obviously you'd get some more size. That's pretty much it as far as the Olympics and Bam and stuff. We did get some Heat news today about the NBA Cup, that stupid in-season tournament. They came out with the official group play, the teams that the Heat are going to be with. They're in East Group B, and their opponents will be the Bucks, Pacers, Raptors, and Pistons. So I think that's a pretty fair group. You got 2 teams that are certainly not as good as the Heat and 2 teams that are possibly better. I'm not going to say for sure. Milwaukee probably is. Indiana, people are assuming Indiana's going to have a better record than the Heat. They could. They might not. I'm just saying it could go either way. But the whole idea of the in-season tournament, I don't like it. I think it's so stupid because first off, if you make the championship for the in-season tournament, you are playing an extra game. You're playing an 83rd game. And in a league where guys can't stay healthy as it is, where you got all these guys taking rest, especially on the Miami Heat, God forbid someone gets hurt in that 83rd game. What's going to happen then? What's going to happen? What is the NBA going to do when someone gets hurt in the in-season tournament championship game? A game that should have never even existed. I never loved the idea of the NBA play-in game for the playoffs. And what happened last year? The Heat, if that play-in didn't exist, the Heat are making the playoffs. Jimmy never gets hurt. But now they add that play-in game. They're adding more games to put more wear and tear on these guys' bodies. Jimmy gets hurt, out for the playoffs. I hate it. I hate the idea of more games. As a fan, I love watching more games, of course, but I think the product gets diluted. What the NBA should be doing is shortening the season. Go back to that 66-game schedule you had after the lockout in 2012. Because then guys are forced to play every game. They mean more, and they have more rest in between games. Now, in 2012, they had back-to-back-to-backs, but that's because the season didn't start till December. I'm saying start the season in October, play 66 games, have them spread out, and have guys play every game. Now, as a fan, I know Jimmy Butler's trying hard every time he steps on the court because it's not a throwaway game. I know if I spend $300 on a ticket to see Heat versus Lakers, I know LeBron and Jimmy Butler are playing. Now, when I go to games, I go just to watch my team, but obviously the prices are jacked up based off who's the opponent and who's on your team and such. So if I'm paying for that product, I would like to get it. And I don't think adding more games to the NBA season is positive. The only way it's positive is because the owners get more money. More people go to the games, so more concessions. That's another game on the TV deal that the NBA could sell to all these providers like ESPN and TNT. That's why they do it. More games equals more money for them. But as a fan, I don't like it. Because let's say everything does go well, no one gets hurt, and the Heat win the in-season tournament. And what? That trophy has no value whatsoever. Maybe one day it will. Maybe we start comparing. Maybe, who's the GOAT, Luka or Wembanyama? Well, Wembanyama has 2 in-season tournament championships. Maybe at some point it does, but I can't see it happening. Not when the main goal is the Larry O'Brien trophy. I think that gets diluted too. Because what are you playing for now? Are you playing for the stupid in-season trophy, or are you playing for Larry O'Brien? The more trophies, it's just the more it's just a diluted product overall. I don't like it, man. I think it's a dumb idea. It works in soccer. That's what the NBA is trying to do here. The group play works in soccer, not in the NBA. I wish they'd get rid of it. That being said, their group play is not that bad. So as far as the schedule, because I think they play these teams maybe like an extra game or something like that, it's fine. They lucked out with Detroit, I guess. Toronto seems to have our number, but they should be able to beat them. Indiana, Milwaukee, we'll see what happens. But either way, I don't care. This whole thing only lasts like 2 weeks anyways. I don't think it's a big deal, and I think it's stupid. That's pretty much all the Miami Heat related news, other than, I guess, if you want to talk about Jamal Cain, just signed a 2-way contract with the Pelicans. I will miss Jamal Cain. I thought he was a decent player. The Heat won a 3-and-D wing. That's kind of the guys that they like to bring up. I thought he was exceptional at that. The Heat seem to be leaning into athleticism now with Kashad Johnson and Khalil Ware. Jamal Cain was as athletic as they come. His 3-point shot was excellent, had great form. He could certainly stretch the floor. I don't know why they let him go. I don't know why it didn't seem to work out. He really seemed like a guy that was a perfect fit for the Miami Heat, but he signed a 2-way with the Pelicans, so I wish him well. We heard a report today that Heat might be interested in Landry Shamet. That is obviously not true because the Heat cannot sign another player without going into the second apron, so they're not going to do that unless they somehow make a trade or such to open up some cap space. I talked about that in my recent Tyus Jones video, so y'all could check that out if you want to. But, they're not going to get Larry Shamet. And they got Alec Burks. Why would you want Shamet and Burks unless you're trading Hero and Duncan? It just makes no sense. That's not going to happen. There was some news today, too, about Jalen Brunson. He signed his extension with the Knicks. Apparently, he took like $113 million less than he could. Now, just to clarify, I read that he will still get all that money. It's just the way in which he's receiving it gives the Knicks a lot of cap relief. I don't exactly know how that works, but point is, he did the Knicks a favor to give them some more cap flexibility, and that's scary. Because as it is, Brunson was already the best contract in the league, literally the best contract. Let me pull up his exact contract numbers because they were excellent. He was getting paid as much as like a 9th, 10th guy off the bench, and obviously he's one of the best players in the league. So his current contract is a 4-year. Oh no, that shows his recent sign. His current contract is a 4-year, $140 million deal. Okay, so not a that averages about 25 a year. So not as low as like a 9th guy on the bench, but still $25 million. That's half as much as guys like Jalen Brown are making, half as much as LeBron's making. It's $10 million less than Tyler Hero's making. So obviously $24 million in Jalen Brunson is a huge steal. He's going into the 3rd year on that contract. Oh, and it shows his 4th year is voided. So I guess he declined that player option with the extension or something. So this is essentially the last year that the Knicks have Jalen Brunson on very, very cheap money. And then next season, he's only making $34 million. The year after that, only $37. For a guy of his caliber, who is a superstar MVP caliber player, to make under 40, really under $50 million is great value. And he's only getting paid $34 million next season. So they're going to have a chance to keep that core together, which is scary because they got a lot of high-end talent on there, a lot of versatile defenders, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle. Who knows what the hell happens with him? They could still offload his contract and maybe get some assets in return. Is he an expiring contract? I am curious about that just because the fit with him doesn't really seem too great. I know they did lose, obviously, Isaiah Hartenstein. But, okay, Julius Randle's got 2 years left, but the next year's a player option for $30 million. So Randle might take that. But regardless, this is not good news for the Heat because the Knicks are already scary as is. And they just got a room for some more flexibility. Not to mention that they have like 4 tradable first-round picks still. This is after the Mikal Bridges trade, after they traded 5 picks. They still have, it's like 3 or 4 tradable picks, which is insane. I saw they just had an offer rejected to get Walker Kessler. Great defensive big. Something I think the Knicks need, another big to pair up with Mitchell Robinson. And that offer was rejected. But point is, the Knicks have more assets, more cap flexibility, and better high-end talent. Maybe a better 1 through 4 than the Miami Heat. I think Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are better than, OG and Mikal, certainly. Obviously Jimmy I think is better than all of them. But if you're talking 1 through 4, Brunson, OG, Mikal, Randall, that's probably better than Jimmy, Bam, Tyler, Rozier, I guess, right? Just because of the fit. I don't really like the fit with the Heat's top 4 guys there. But anyways, that's pretty much all I got to say for this video. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I will be reacting to the Summer League game tonight. So if you're on the YouTube side, leave a like and subscribe. If you're on the audio side, rate 5 stars. But come on over to the YouTube. We just hit 5K over here, and I've been working on daily videos. If y'all made it to this point of the video, then that means that you are a true fan. And if you're here, so I know you're a true fan, go ahead and comment down below. Say, you know what, give me a topic for Wednesdays with Will. It's a series that I used to do a couple years ago, and I'm starting it back up. I'm recording the first few episodes with Will tonight, and essentially what we do is top 5 lists for Heat-related things, like top 5 most hated players in Heat history, top 5 most hated opponents, top 5 Miami Heat jerseys, top 5 Miami Heat pictures. So go ahead and drop some comments on some ideas you'd like to see. That'd be pretty cool to react to some of those. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.